Welcome back to Coffee and Tequila.
Is that how you're going to do this?
I don't know. I was trying to put a little pep in my step. You know, kind of try to pretend that we've been here for the last couple months.
Oh my gosh. When's the last time we did an episode? Is it
April? We did an episode.
Was it actually April?
Yes, I think it was April.
You think it was, or
no? I'm pretty.
Alastair's alternative facts. We're back with
I
alternative
am
facts,
95%.
It was
certain
probably April, and I don't even
April.
think you need to really double check it because I believe you. My name is Zachary Patton Garcia, and this is my co-host Alastair. It's my husband.
Hello.
We are lovers. We are married. We are together.
And we're here for a brunch episode.
We are this Pride. Happy Pride.
Oh my gosh, it is Pride.
It's technically a Pride episode. I mean,
if we're together, Zachary, it is a Pride episode.
We have been so absent and we have been so neglectful of this damn show, and I feel so terrible. But sometimes I'm not even gonna bore you with the details. Life just gets in the way, but we are here. I don't exactly know how we're coming back with this show. I think we're going to aim for, what did we talk about? We're going to aim for
one episode a week instead.
We were kind of like, there's a lot going on in life right now. And it was, it was really difficult trying to keep up with 2 episodes a week. And most times we were not successful with it. So we're going to do 1 a week. I think we're just going to keep it. This is a Sunday brunch
We're going to convince ourselves we're doing 2 a week. So at least we do 1 a week.
And I was convinced that you were not going to be after the last episode, I was convinced that Alastair wasn't going to be going away anymore. And guess what? He's about to go away tomorrow.
Yes, I am about to go for a week.
So he's lied to me. He's just going to keep leaving.
I found out Thursday. I found out Thursday that I have to leave for a week for work.
But I'm glad we're doing the once a week because you're only going to be gone for about a week and then you're going to come back and we'll be able to do another one. We'll be able to put out another episode. And so we're just going to keep these as simple, super hot topic episodes, a little bit of banter.
Really just a conversation. I love having a conversation with you over some nice, tasty drinks.
Promising shit, guys. So we're just check in with us, okay? We're going to try to keep it weekly. And then you're going to deploy him. I don't know what we're going to do anymore. What drinks did you make us? This is a Sunday brunch episode.
I made the infamous Aperol spritz. I had this for the first time in Israel about a year ago. I was not a big fan. Zach's been asking for it a lot, so I said, sure.
So I took him through Vanderpump, right? I took him through Vanderpump Rules, and in it, they talk a lot about Aperol spritzes, and I was like, that looks refreshing. That looks like fruity. It looks summery, right?
It is
I've been craving one, and you said you were going to make me one, and so now we have one, an Aperol spritz.
And let me tell you, when I looked this up, the controversy of people, especially on TikTok, making Aperol spritz.
What's the controversy?
Well, it's like whether you put the Prosecco before you put the Aperol, whether you add bitters.
Does it matter?
You have to have a slice of orange in it, or can it be a slice of something else?
I wish there was a little bit of fruit in it. Okay, let's just try it out. So this is our Sunday brunch drink.
Thoughts?
That's not as breezy and summery and fruity as I thought.
Medicine.
It's kind of bitter.
It's medicine.
Well, I thought those were supposed to be I wanted it to be like a tea. Like a peach tea. Like a peach Snapple. That's what I was thinking. It was like a peach Snapple.
Just because it looks like some sort of peach thing. It does taste orangey, though.
I don't know if I recommend this. I'm going to drink it.
Yeah. Yeah,
but I don't know if I recommend it.
If you want, we can dilute it with more Prosecco. But it's a Prosecco, Aperol, and then spritz of soda water.
I'm a little bit disappointed. Yeah, I do a little bit more soda water. Maybe. I don't know. With all Sunday brunch episodes, this is kind of just a chatty episode. We're just going to chat about some things. Not get too serious with it. I don't think that helped all that much. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. Maybe some apple slices would have made it really better.
Apple slices? Okay.
I don't know. We have a pretty full summer planned. I just went to New York with my family, actually. I didn't vlog a whole bunch for that, but I do think I have a little bit of vlog footage. I did tell my sister I'll pay you $100 if you vlog our
experience,
our trip, and she didn't.
I know. I kept on telling you, where is all the footage?
I would have to tell her, and I would maybe catch her filming for 20 seconds, every other day.
Well, I kept on texting you while you're over there and being like, "Hey, I want photos. I want photos." But I got more photos from your dad on Facebook than I got
So
from you.
weird. It was so awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be
It
seeing you in the photos.
So with my dad, we just like kind of put things. We didn't even have a conversation about anything serious, nothing like that. We kind of like I was not going to go on that trip and have it be weird. So I was just gonna like put everything aside and just act like everything was normal for that trip. And then when we came back, we just go back to like don't really have a relationship with him. So, but I didn't want it to be weird on that trip, and it was a good trip. Yeah. So it was my family's first time in New York City, and they pretty much fell in love with it, right?
Yeah.
They loved the entire trip, and I love going to New York City at this point. And so, anytime I can like get to experience it again for the first time through somebody else's eyes, it was like that. I love doing that in general. I think that is like one of my, like, as we've been going through
you love
Vanderpump
sharing
Rules,
things that you love with other people.
as we've been going through Vanderpump Rules again, I've been getting to see all of your reactions to things for the first time, and so that's really exciting. So I got to see my family's reaction to New York for the first time, and that was very, very exciting. Took my mom to like a couple Sex and the City spots, Carrie's Stoop, O'Neill's, and then for my dad, he's like super obsessed with like the mob. And so we just walked around to like the outsides of buildings and like took pictures. I mean, I guess that's what we did for the Carrie Stoop too.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, we took a picture. We were like, at Sparks Steakhouse, I believe, where, one of the mob bosses was like gunned down, and like it was I don't know, he was like super into it. And then Erin and her fiance Dylan really wanted to go to the top of like a skyscraper, right? And so we went to the top of the Freedom Tower, but I didn't, it's called Freedom Tower, right?
Yes.
Okay. I was not super impressed. So we were talking about doing the Empire State Building at first, all the touristy stuff. At the top of the Empire State Building, do you get to go outside, or is that the Rockefeller? I know Rockefeller.
I think that you get to go outside with both of those. Yeah.
Okay. Freedom Tower, you did not. It was like an observatory. There's windows. I didn't think it was worth it, really.
Well, I mean, wasn't it super smoggy also?
It was super smoggy, but like we thought it was. So we went during like when the fires were coming down from Canada. So all the smoke was like surrounding New York City. We were walking around, and at one point, my mom was like, "Guys, it's just cloudy. I hope it doesn't rain."
Didn't New York have like the sepia filter on it?
Well, we did. It had like the Mexico filter on it, like from Hollywood. Yeah. So we were like walking around for a long time without any masks, and we kept getting like alerts. And I kept saying, I think it's like smoke. And my mom was like, "No, it's cloudy, Zachary."
Why do you make her sound like that?
My mom or my sister was the only smart one out of the bunch of us, and so she went into the store and bought like a bunch of masks and was like handing us all masks because we were just walking around. And my sister kept going, "Do you have an inhaler, Zach?" I'm like, Aaron, I have not had an inhaler since I was like 10 years old. I just like God,
You probably should have
let
one.
God and let go. So it was like super smoggy. I don't know. I just kind of dealt with it. But it was a really good trip. It was a really fun trip. Where were we going with that?
I don't know. I thought you were going to talk about seeing some of the cast members of Vanderpump Rules.
Oh, I did go to...
I was like, how are you missing this?
I did go to the Vanderpump Rules reunion
Finale,
part
right?
3 finale, like watch along, right? It was like this event hosted by Bravo at Haswell Greens in New York City, like very close to Times Square. And it was like one of the best nights of my life. I was like really bummed that you weren't there because he's like super into Vanderpump Rules now. I got him.
Yes, he did. Yes,
He's watching it on his own now without me.
Yes, I'm actually rewatching it right now. Mm-hmm. But like I was so psyched. I was living through you. So I was texting you as things were going on, and you were like sending me. So this is the time in his trip when he was sending me the most photos. Yeah, you're like, Brittany walked in.
It was crazy. It was crazy because we were waiting in line, and I got there like real early because I wanted to make sure I got a table because it said tables were like limited, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like standing by the bar. I wanted to be up close by the tables, wherever the stars were going to be, because they said they were going to have like a special guest. And we went to the day before. Me and my family went to The View, and we got to see Lala Kent on The View. And so I was like, I know Lala's ass is going to be there. So I was like, I want to be wherever Lala's going to be. Okay, I want to see her react to this Part 3 reunion show. But as I was standing in line, I saw Brittany and Jax walk in. I saw Sheena and Brock walk in, and it was just like almost the whole Vanderpump cast. It walked in, and I was like, it was very, very exciting.
Except Ariana.
So I went with my buddy Troy and our friend Melissa. And by this point, I think they've both been in vlogs now. And they were like, everybody got free drink tickets at this thing, so we were all drinking pumptinis and getting drunk off of everything that they had. It was got pretty wasted. I'm trying to I don't want to say everything that happened because I did have some encounters with some of the cast of Vanderpump Rules. I did get to take a shot with some of them, which was really fun. I guess I considered that. That's okay.
You did, yeah. You got to drink and kind of spill some tea.
Yes, I got a little bit of tea from some of the cast of Vanderpump Rules. I got to take a picture with Brittany. I love Brittany. Brittany is one of my favorites. It was just a really, really fun night. And me and Troy and Melissa were just dancing and screaming, and everybody was. I love in the movie theater when everybody screams at the screen. I think that is so fun, and I get so hype. And this was exactly like that. Everybody was watching a reunion part 3 show of a reality show and screaming.
But it was like a Super Bowl. It
felt like the damn Super Bowl. There were ladies screaming all the way around. And at one point, so there's this rumor that that both of the Toms, and if you don't know what we're talking about, just continue, follow along. But that both of the Toms and Rachel had a threesome,
yes,
right, in the hot tub. And that's not been confirmed, and they're pretty much said that didn't happen, but
it's real to me.
It's been floating around there, right? I think there's even been a blind item about it, but at one point they were talking about that and talking about the hot tub and asking Rachel if they'd hooked up, and keep in mind, everybody had been screaming at the screen, and so I was hyped up and also screaming at the screen. And I remember screaming at one point, "They had a threesome!" And I heard the girl in the back of me say, "What?" And I turned around and I said, "The Toms and Rachel had a threesome in the hot tub," and she went, and it was just.
I wish I could have been there.
It was a really fun night. You would have loved it. I did get you merch. I brought back some merch for you. I brought you back a pumptini, little, what is it called?
Tumbler.
Tumbler, little tumbler.
Tumbler.
That is what they're called. It's for wine.
Yeah, a little pumptini tumbler and a shirt, and I love them. I just it was. I remember texting you throughout the episode, and then you just stopped texting me, and I knew that you were drinking heavily that night too.
Well,
so I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
I was drinking, but it wasn't blackout. I didn't get blackout at any point. I wasn't that wasn't the vibe that night.
So you're saying you didn't black out and kiss somebody?
No, I did not. We just got really hot and sweaty and drunk, and we're dancing a bunch, and we danced pretty much until they kicked us all out, because that right after the episode ended, they just had music and a DJ playing, and then we went from there. We left, and they had a bunch of. I don't even know I want to talk about it. I feel like an idiot. I'm a fucking idiot.
No. Talk about it. It's okay. It's okay. Your experiences will make sure that other people don't.
We were walking out of Housewell Greens, and there was just a bunch of guys with bikes, right? And it's the little caddies that there's a guy riding a bike, and he'll drive you around somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And so we walked out there, and we were drunk again. So we were Melissa said, "Oh, we should ride one of these." And I walked up to them, and I said, "There's a lot of you. Who's gonna woo us? You need to woo us if you want a business."
Yeah. And then
I think one guy turned on his lights, and he had lights on the inside, and he had a little boombox, and so that was the winner, obviously. And we climbed in his thing, and he handed me his phone. We wanted to go to O'Neill's. Remember, we're on Times Square, so we wanted to go down to Little Italy, which is I don't know. I don't even know how far that away. I feel 20, 30 minutes, something crazy like that. So, he's tooting back here.
I know, I heard him.
But so we get in the back of this bike, and he's just riding around Times Square, taking us to Little Italy. He's doing little laps, little loops and loop-de-doops, and he's doing full tricks, right? And he hands me his phone, and I get to be in charge of the music and this big boom box, and so we start playing Britney Spears and Mariah Carey and all these real fun things. We're screaming, having the time of our lives. And there's actually, if you go follow Rich Melissa or Melissa Rich on TikTok, there's a video of it. I'm gonna here. I'll play that TikTok right here.
It's so crazy, even just hearing you say what was going on. And I was because at this point his phone was dead, and I was trying to find him.
Oh, we were having the time of our lives, baby.
Yes.
Time of our lives. Okay, so. So we get to O'Neill's, and the guy was like very scared too. And by the way, we ended on like Mariah Carey's "We Belong Together," so we were on a high.
Yeah.
And we get off this bike thing, and we thought it was gonna be like $100. The guy, he like is very hesitant to hand anybody his phone, and he finally like hands me his phone, and he's like explaining the entire bill to me. He's like $8 a minute, and I immediately, before I even looked at it, I'm like, $8 a fucking minute. How long have we been on there? I was like counting songs. I'm like 4 minutes a song. How many songs do we do? Like $400. We were on this bike taxi. Yeah, we did come down from the high a little bit. We paid the man. We went inside O'Neill's and we sit there at the bar, and we were just kind of looking at each other. Bartender came up and gave us like free shots.
Really? That makes up for it a little bit.
A little bit, and then we ordered espresso martinis. We shouldn't have been ordering any drinks. We should have gone home at that point. But
I know.
Started ordering espresso martinis. Yes. So, but like Melissa had like a really good point which is like, the money was spent. It was done by then. Okay, it's not like we could just run away, right? That guy was doing dips and doodads in the Times Square. If we tried to run, he was going to catch us. I'm
glad that she had video of
it. I wish I would have got vlog footage of it, because at this point I'm like, $400. I should have damn vlogged it.
Yes.
And then the next morning I check my phone as I'm going through my phone, and I check my DMs and some of the requested DMs. And there's a guy who at like 1:30 a.m. messaged me and said, "LOL, welcome to New York City." And that was when we were on the bike taxi.
Oh, they must have seen you on the bike taxi.
I think that's how they fucking saw it. Just
I'm not sure if that's embarrassing.
It was embarrassing. It was humiliating. I didn't answer the man. I'm sorry to this man. I'm sorry to this man. But yeah, my phone died. That pretty much I has Greens, and so it was dead. And then when I got home, I charged it. And when I got back to the room, because I was sharing a room with my mom and my dad, when I got back to the room, my mom like jumped out of bed, and she's like, "Zachary, where you been? Where you been, Zachary? Alastair is going crazy. He's calling everybody."
I wasn't going crazy. I was just checking in with everybody. Okay. I messaged Troy, and then I messaged, and he didn't answer me, at least for like a couple hours. And then I messaged your mom, and I was surprised your mom was still awake. She's like, "I've been waiting for him."
Yeah, I literally, when I plugged my phone in and finally got a charge, I just saw everybody messaging me. Dad, Mom, Aaron. I'm glad Aaron's fiance Dylan didn't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what happens to him. Alastair's messaging me a bunch, and it's just, I don't know. But good. I called you right after when I got back to the room.
No, but you were a little drunk because you didn't remember like having we had an hour conversation.
No, I remember that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
We like a blow by.
I remember it because my mom was sitting in the bed awake next to me, like laughing at everything we were saying.
Really?
Yeah.
In my head, you went to the bathroom.
No, I was like having a full blown conversation about it. No, I was just sitting in the bed. And I was telling Alastair, "You don't get it. Like this was the night of our lives. It was a really fun party. We were going, and my mom was just sitting in the bed."
And now she's watching Vanderpump too. Also.
She is. I'm hoping she catches up, because by the time we go to her house later this summer, I want her to be like caught up enough that we can watch a few episodes with her.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah, but it was a real fun New York trip. It seemed like my family really liked it. They've been talking about it a bunch, and just like that started. And so my mom called me, and she's been like, "Yeah, now that I've seen it, it's I recognize the street, and I recognize all these spots."
Like, I was out here.
She's like, "I'm in New York." Speaking of, and just like that, that's out.
Yeah. The first 2 episodes came out, Thursday?
Yes. I was hoping that it was going to... they had a Sex and the City, 25th anniversary event.
Oh my gosh. And it was
it was the last day I was there. And it was exactly what I wanted to see, going through the set of her apartment and getting to see the outfits.
Oh my goodness.
I would have loved to have gone to it.
I did see videos of it.
I was very jealous. But the day the tickets went on sale, I think I woke up and they had sold out in like an hour, so I was never going to get those tickets anyway. But yeah, and just like that came out, and I was hoping that it was going to come out while we were there. That way we could go to a watch party. They got to have watch parties or something.
Well, they do the watch parties at O'Neill's.
I've heard that they do the watch parties at O'Neill's, but I don't know if anybody can just go in it.
Well, because I remember you even telling me. No, I think it was your mom that was telling me how y'all were at O'Neill's, and then she saw that they were playing Sex in the City in the background.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. She had never had a Cosmo before. And so we ordered Cosmos at O'Neill's, and they like went to her head like immediately. And she was like, "Yeah." When I tried to start filming, she's like, "I think it went to my head."
Those Cosmos hit quick.
Oh, they do, kick. And they're delicious, and they kick pretty quick.
And she's like, they were just drinking these all the time.
Yeah, and Just Like That just came out, and so me and my mom have been talking about that, and you've been watching it with me because you're into
yes.
it. First 2 episodes came out. What are your thoughts on it?
One, I love the podcast producer.
Okay,
he is honestly the man of my dreams. Just kidding.
That's fine. That's fun. I can find a man of my dreams too.
No, but what I do like is that he's very perfect, and Carrie, as always, is very flawed. So she never chooses anything that's like good for her.
I don't like him for her though. Like long term, I think
and that's fine for like a short term, like good guy.
Well, they have him in there for exactly the role that he needs to be in there for, right? He is there for. She has lost big. It's kind of been a couple years. It's been time. She's been grieving, and she kind of just needed a hookup. She just needed something that was not permanent, that was pretty just frivolous, and that's what his purpose was.
Well, what I suspect is that his purpose was supposed to be bigger until they not recasted, but Aiden was.
I think
back.
they were already going to have.
And then at that point,
I don't agree
no, because they set up season 1 at the end of season 1. It was set up for her to have like this big.
She kissed him.
Sex in the City podcast, and then also to have this kind of like at least a little tryst with him. And then it seemed like they used these 2 episodes to both unravel both of those storylines.
Maybe. So, like, this is a show that I will never shit on because I truly love these characters so much that even it can be the worst show in the world. It can be as bad as The Damn Idol, which is real bad. And that's not even.
Watch that?
Yeah, and I liked it at first. I liked a lot of it. I can't even go into it right now. I liked a good bit of it, and then it just kept going, and I kept like, it's just a bad show that had a lot of potential. But this show and Just Like That could be terrible. It could be worse than The Idol, and I would still love it just because I'm so invested in these characters, and I love these characters so much, and I love Carrie Bradshaw so much. I will watch her till the end of time. I want to watch her until she is in diapers in the nursing home on hospice. Like that's
with a Cosmo and a cigarette.
Oh yes, goes out with a Cosmo and a cigarette in her hand. Yes, that's exactly how I want it to go. So I will never really shit on it, but I do have criticisms about it. The podcast being like my number one. I think with the podcast, I was really disappointed with they really set that up in the last season, right? Like,
and
at
it seemed like such a good natural progression for her column to become a podcast. Because you and I were confused with the first season, like, why is she on somebody else's podcast?
Well, I mean, that makes sense. It's just kind of like floundering around a little bit.
Yeah.
But then they kind of landed with the podcast Sex in the City, which fit just like the column, right? And in the original show, the column was such a big deal that she would have people come up to her in public and compliment her column and say they were fans of the column. And I thought we were going to get that for the podcast. And we didn't. It felt like the podcast was like, I thought the podcast was going to play a larger role in her life, and we hardly got any of it. So when they talk about it, they were talking about something, they made some sort of comment to do with, that's like, so 2021 or something like that, which leads me to believe that we've jumped ahead in time as we're supposed to, right? So that it's taking place at the end of 2022 towards or like Met Gala. When's Met Gala? That's early 2022 then. Maybe they're in 2023 already. They could be, I don't know, between 2022 and 2023.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that in 2023, but that makes sense for them. I kind of wish it showed that longevity a little bit better.
Yeah. So by the time we catch up with them in season 2, this podcast has likely been going for quite a few episodes at this point, right? Like it should be. They shouldn't be on like episode 2 or 3. I'm guessing they're on like, They have to be a good bit in, right?
So
the podcast
almost a year's
should be
episodes?
like the podcast should be established by now within the timeline of the show. So it's weird that we didn't have any sort of like fanfare on the streets about the podcast, or have anybody coming up to Carrie being like, "Love your podcast. I'm so happy to meet you in person." Or something
I submitted a question. Have you gotten
absolutely,
into it?
like I needed something like that. Even like the submitting the questions and stuff like that. Her column in the original show was such a big deal, and then the books were such a big deal in her life in the movies, right? So this podcast, I was expecting it to play some sort of role because it just fit that she would have a podcast.
And we need a little bit of Carrie voiceovers. I love a Carrie voiceover.
And I wanted to hear people calling in and asking questions, like younger generations calling in and asking questions to Carrie Bradshaw.
Like, how was it? Doing
As
this,
if it were
this,
real
that?
life, they would be, and asking certain things. And
Also, oh my gosh, it was so weird how it got canceled too. I'm like, because it didn't make sense to me because they're like, because you didn't do this vaginal.
so she's supposed to do some like Vagisil or vagina, like ad spot. So like her podcast has sponsors. Listen, I have done this before. I have experience with this. With these spots. That is like a 60-second spot, right? Maybe like 2 minutes at most, but that is likely like a 60-second ad spot. And they spend an entire episode going back and forth on like, because she doesn't like what the copy said that she was supposed to read for them. Well, you don't have to like stick to that. They give you bullet points that they want you to hit, and you can kind of like curate it to be more your voice. And she has like meetings, and we see a whole scene of her like writing out a paragraph on what she's going to say. And then she doesn't end up doing it. And because she doesn't end up doing it or recording that spot,
they cancel everybody's podcast.
Everybody's podcast, which
was
makes
so
no
weird.
sense. It leads me to believe, like, I'm wondering if maybe the writers are a little bit out of touch with like that section of, because
Like
that's
how
like
it works?
That's kind of like influencer culture, right? Like that's getting sponsors and getting ads, and that's just not how that
it's
goes.
almost like they're thinking of it more as like HBO canceling.
It didn't
a
make
show.
sense. It didn't make sense.
Instead of like, and then she's like, well, if it was canceled, we can still get picked up again, right? And he's like, no, it's not good when it gets canceled. You can't get picked up again.
Which is so stupid. That's
Now, I
a
was like,
lie. Yeah.
Literally, Carrie, all you have to do is do it in your living room.
Literally
That's
shop
all
it
you
around.
have to do.
So yeah, exactly. You can shop it around, or you can literally
Do it yourself.
do it yourself and put it out yourself, right? She's Carrie Dan Bradshaw. It's like not like she's a no-name. She already has a name. She can put this out herself. It's just strange how they were treating it. So I'm wondering if they're going to bring the podcast back a little bit later, and bring it to be something else, right?
Because I feel like she needs some sort of like outlet or something for, I don't know. But the podcast made sense for this, and then
Well, I wanted her to be inspired.
yeah,
This is what I was waiting for.
She doesn't
is
seem
like,
inspired.
She doesn't seem inspired, and the last season made a lot of sense because Big had just died, and so Big died, leading her into we were going through her 5 stages of grief. We were following her through that, which made so much sense. But now we're in season 2, and she's like moving on a little bit. I want to see her inspired again. And that's what I thought the podcast was going to be, was her sort of being inspired again. And I don't think that they're going to be done with the podcast. Either they're not going to be done with the podcast, or she's going to come back with some other book or something like that.
Well, I don't know, because
I'm hoping and waiting on something like that.
I felt like the theme of that episode, especially with Lily, was growing, not growing up, but like growing apart from things that you used to be part of, right? And so that was the thing with Lily, because she's like, I'm changing my hair color. Because last season it was Rock's turn. Rock's turn to like be like, I'm different, I'm gonna change stuff in my life. And then it seems like this season it's Lily's turn to do the same thing. Meanwhile, I wonder how much of an oppressive personality Charlotte was for her kids to feel so like stifled.
Well, I think Lily did a whole song about that.
I know.
Feeling
She's like, I'm
stifled.
Privileged. I am so
I don't know.
privileged.
It was fine, and it made sense
gilded cage.
in terms of like Charlotte and like who her kids would grow up to be, and like I don't know. My mom brought up a really good point. She's like, the storyline with Charlotte was fine, but it just kept dragging out. And every time we checked in with her, she was doing the same thing with The Real Deal. And this whole like Charlotte storyline was dragging out the entire episode. And I'm like, yeah, I think the problem with And Just Like That is that it's an hour long and not half an hour.
30-minute episodes.
I think going back to 30-minute episodes, just like Sex and the City was, would be tight, and their storylines would feel, I don't know. It would just. I think it would just work
the pace.
better.
The pacing
would
be better.
Yes, it would be the pacing. It would really.
That's a
improve
pace
the
that I think
pacing.
that makes it lag a
But
little bit.
again, as a fan of them so much, I can watch Sarah Jessica Parker playing Carrie Bradshaw just walking around the background looking at a shoe for 5 minutes and be perfectly fine with that, right? But there are going to be people who criticize it because the pacing is just kind of dragging.
Yeah.
I do love, I'm not a big fan of all of the new characters. I love the professor, and I love Seema. Seema is my favorite. I love that she has, like, she's supposed to be, I don't want to say she's supposed to be Samantha because she's very different from Samantha, but she is Carrie needs a fabulous friend. And she is Carrie's fabulous friend.
A fabulous single friend.
I love them together. Yeah. I mean, kind of. Yeah. I love them together, so I love Seema.
Sex positive friend. Well, they're all sex positive.
It's like, we've already passed Sex in the City.
I mean, there is a Samantha, sized void, and honestly, they're bringing in a lot of these characters to kind of fill that void. Trying.
Well,
out
it's
hats
the
and
rotating
stuff.
fourth chair, and I think that's fun. I am not. I don't know. I think people like miss the mark a little bit when they're like, it doesn't work without Kim Cattrall. It just will fail, and I don't agree with that. And that it's totally me biased and talking, but I just don't agree with that. I think it's fine. I think they have a good concept with a rotating fourth chair. They just have to land it right. And I don't think they're landing.
I do think it works. So Che Diaz. I love Sarah Ramirez. I love them. I loved them in Grey's Anatomy, and I love them as an actor. And honestly, like I think most people last season, I did not like Che Diaz's character.
I'm still not
It was very
sold.
one note to me
Yeah.
because all they were was a non-binary character. And that was, a comedian who honestly just wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Like the joke that Che made, ending her comedy special or whatever.
In this last episode,
It wasn't funny.
It wasn't. It was like taking an Uber from your bedroom to the bathroom. It was like terrible joke, right?
Yeah.
Hire a comedian to write the damn jokes. If you're gonna write a comedian character, hire a comedian to write the jokes, right? I think I do think people are kind of on the money when they're like, this show is too woke, but like putting it in different terminology, like in different wording, I would say. Like, I think they're trying so hard to be politically correct these days, when the reason the original show worked, even as problematic as it was because it wasn't politically correct, right? And it was advanced for its time, which is fine, but you can't repeat that. So, like, stick to the bones and the DNA of your show, right? Like, I think, because they had really good comedy. Even through the movies, they had really good comedy, and then they're kind of lacking the comedy.
The comedy in this one's like...
And the comedian character has no comedy.
Has no comedy.
I cannot stand Che Diaz. I am so ready for them to leave Che Diaz in L.A. Miranda needs to just move back to New York City. I have a real problem with that relationship. It just doesn't work. It doesn't fit. Miranda's whole midlife crisis, I am completely fine with. People go through that. I can see it tracking for Miranda. I don't think she would have stuck with Steve for the rest of her life. I just don't. I don't think that was her personality type. We always saw this kind of bisexuality with her, or this androgyny with her throughout the show. Yeah. I could see her exploring her sexuality, but the Che Diaz relationship doesn't freaking work for me.
I think she's going to end up getting bored, and I don't like her alcoholic storyline because I don't see her struggle. Like, it just seems so simple for her.
It was really quick. That she was just like done.
I ordered a book. I'm just going to pour this out. And I went to one meeting. I want her to be bored at home because Che Diaz is...
And like struggling.
And being like, you know what? Maybe I'll have a couple glasses of wine and then just like spiral a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
I do want to see her spiral a little bit. I want to see her like unravel with this midlife crisis a little bit, right? And that doesn't mean like scenes of her crying in the shower. It doesn't need to be like that, but I want to see her unravel a little bit because that's kind of what we started painting in season 1. And if you're gonna go there, then go there, right? Steve was really content with his life, you know. And I know there was a lot of people like criticizing that he's so old, but they were pretty aware of that, right? They're like, he's not even that old. Miranda says that in the first season. She's like, we're not old, you know. We're still young. We don't have to be acting like old people. Well, that's what Steve wants to do with his life, right? Steve is happy in his life. And Miranda just wasn't. And so it would be really interesting to see Miranda exploring and not just jumping into another relationship quickly, you know?
Well, it'll also be interesting because as as Miranda's exploring her, I guess, more lesbian side right now. Steve, we have Aiden coming in, and I think Steve can do the same thing.
Yeah, Steve and Aiden, man, they have a bar together. I want to know if they still have that damn bar.
And that's a big question, isn't it? Because they were each other's best friends too. So like it was. I really want to see more Steve.
It was platonic, yeah. As much as I would love for them to be in love, but it was platonic.
He had a nice butt though.
I do want to see Steve back. I want to see a lot more of Steve, and it looks like we're going to get a little bit more, but I don't want a little bit more. I want a lot more. I'm waiting for Aiden. Gosh, I'm waiting for Aiden to freaking come back. I'm like so excited about
After
that.
I saw that jacket he was wearing, I don't think he should.
I am so ready for Aiden to come back. I want. We have that Samantha cameo that was already leaked. That's supposed to be in the finale or at some point in the show. I hope that I'm thinking that might like link to the podcast somehow. Like maybe Samantha takes on Carrie's podcast and like creates a platform for it or something like that. I don't know. Like I could see that being how the phone call maybe ties in. I want to hear about the meeting that she had. Because Carrie talked to Samantha on the phone. They texted and said, hey, you want to meet for like dinner or a drink or something like that.
And it looked like she was meeting up, but then...
And like London or Paris, and we haven't heard about it. I want to hear how that went.
So one thing I was a little disappointed by is we've had this huge reveal that we've already seen. You even made a dress of like her wedding gown with the cape.
The Vivienne Westwood wedding dress that Big was such an asshole about, and she never got to wear it on her actual wedding day.
Yes. And she wears it now.
I remember seeing this like photo leaked. Like people were taking pictures of it as she was filming, coming out of her apartment door, coming down the stoop steps, in this Vivienne Westwood wedding dress with like a blue or like a turquoise like cape. I was so excited to see it. It is literally like a second. You blink and you miss it.
It's exactly just that. Like I wanted to see all of her.
And Vivienne Westwood just died not too long ago. And so what better way to really like honor her in Sex and the City than to fully feature this dress? It's a problem I had with the, I have it behind me actually. I don't know if you can see it, but with the Versace dress that she wore in the Paris episode, is we get a return for that, and we get it for a little bit longer than the Vivienne Westwood dress, but like we see her sitting on her windowsill eating popcorn in this like gorgeous
dress,
Versace dress that she'd only wore twice. And these are pieces that need to be worn out. I want to see them out. And so it was nice seeing her walk out of her apartment door in this Vivienne Westwood dress, but I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it, I wanted to see more of it.
The movement, like maybe her trotting across the street in it,
Oh, goodness. It was missed opportunity.
We got a really cool across the street moment, and I don't remember her name right now, but the documentarian, I really like her dress.
The documentary filmmaker.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like her.
And she had like a across the street moment, and that's what I kind of wanted for Carrie.
Yeah. Such a missed opportunity. I hope they have like another because they had a documentary for the first season, like the making of the first season. I hope they have that for this one too, so that we can just at least, because I bet we would see more of it in the damn documentary. But I don't know. I'm like super into the show. I'm so glad it's back. I do love this show. I love these characters. I literally want to watch Carrie Bradshaw until the end of her life at this point.
Yeah.
I've seen her from like 30 something to I want to see her to the end of her life. What else did we watch? We watched No Hard Feelings.
No Hard Feelings.
With Jennifer Lawrence.
I was laughing so hard, Zach had to tell me to shush.
Because it was like a weird laugh you were doing too. You sounded like Scuttle in Little Mermaid.
I thought it was freaking hilarious.
It was very funny. This movie was so funny.
It was so well put together.
Yes.
Honestly, Jennifer Lawrence, like we've had a little bit, I wouldn't say a break from her, but she's taken a break.
Well,
and the last movie we had of her was that Netflix movie Don't Look Up, which
it was it was a good movie. Was that the last one that she did? I don't remember if that was
the last one that I've watched.
Yeah. Well, she's been away. She's been kind of absent from the scene for a little while. She kind of had like the Meryl Streep effect, I think, is what it was. Is that she got so successful and was so like, relatable and likable, and everybody loved her. And you put any woman in that position,
an awards darling.
You make an awards darling out of any actress, and there's going to be, it's happened with Anne Hathaway too. Then they get torn down immediately. They can only climb so far before they get torn down, and there's a bandwagon of hate, falling upon them. And that's exactly what happened with Jennifer Lawrence. No Hard Feelings is that good return to form comedy for Jennifer Lawrence because it really shows off her acting ability, and she is damn funny.
Honestly, she does, like, it's a comedy, but she shows like a complete like bandwidth of like emotions like throughout this entire comedy. She has action. She beats up people.
Yeah.
She has physical comedy. She has everything.
It's good. It was a really, really funny movie.
And I didn't think I was gonna like the actor who was playing in it either.
I did like him when he serenaded us. I was like,
I know.
I was like, I feel like you're singing to me.
Well, because he's like a Timothy Chalamet kind of like Tom Holland. Dude, I think that
I could have seen. I kept seeing Tom Holland in it.
Yeah,
I could have seen Tom Holland in it, but I guess they wanted to go for somebody actually younger. I think I remember they were talking in some sort of interview about the movie, and somebody brought up the fact that like Hunger Games is turning like 10 years old, and so they were asking Jennifer Lawrence questions about it, and then they turned to him, and he's like, "I was like 10 years old when the Hunger Games came out," and she's like, "Damn it!" It was good. It was a good.
It was funny. I loved it. So I mean, if you're in for a good laugh, I would definitely.
No Hard Feelings. Definitely recommend that one.
Yeah.
What else has been going on? I got notes on here on my thing, but it goes from No Hard Feelings down to OceanGate, and that seems like a drop.
It does.
No pun intended.
I mean, yeah. OceanGate's just been all of my social media feed.
So the Titanic submarine, right? At this point, people are clicking off because nobody wants to hear about that anymore. I'm so sick of hearing about that. I don't want to see no more TikToks about it. Nothing.
So I thought when we were calling it OceanGate, that's what we were calling it, like Scandival, OceanGate.
Or like Watergate.
And then I saw that it's actually called OceanGate.
It is. It's so full of like irony out the ass for this entire situation that it's insane. And everybody's, but it's really interesting, right? So like 5 people went down in the submarine to go visit the Titanic, paying like $250,000 a ticket, and they had like a full week search for this damn submarine that they were like making a big display of, and like everybody was like putting sonar out, and I didn't know none of this stuff, right? But I learned how to be a technician on submarines in the last week. Just like I became a lawyer when Making a Murderer came out, I'm learning all these professions.
Everybody was talking about it.
Well, so it pretty much imploded. Like, so it takes about 2 hours to get from the surface down to the Titanic, right? The descent is about 2 hours. And it lost contact with the mothership at about 1 hour and 45 minutes. And so they believe that it imploded around that time. And there was also picked up on sonar that same day, on Father's Day, the sound of an implosion, right? And so that's pretty much what happened. But they made this big show all week about, how many hours left, and we're gonna look for them. It's not a search. It's a search and rescue, not a recovery mission. They were saying shit like that.
Yeah, because they were talking about the amount of oxygen that was left in the submarine. Thankfully, I mean, everybody that I've seen professionals talk about it say that if the death was instantaneous for everybody.
James Cameron didn't say that.
Did he not?
No, he said that they probably knew something was happening because they were trying to ascend really quickly. And they were trying to drop stuff, and so they probably knew something was happening.
But the actual death was probably instantaneous.
Oh yeah. Like an implosion. I didn't know nothing about it, but I sure learned about it.
I mean, they probably panicked about it. So, but the other thing. So my big question is, because I'm sorry, I've been inundated with all of this stuff all week.
Inundated.
Inundated. They were talking about hearing banging at 30-minute intervals.
So I just don't understand. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know.
Someone on TikTok said
there's videos. Well, there's videos of it, of people like explaining what it could be. But I'm like, at this point, I'm not listening to TikTokers anymore. It's just I'm not listening to it. It's likely that it was. There's tons of ocean noises. It's likely that I've also heard people say that it was just falling debris from the actual Titanic. Well, I could believe that as well.
I was listening to a mortician who's explaining like what would happen to their bodies. Mm-hmm. And she was saying that when she's up late, doing her mortician stuff, she hears banging like all the time.
Don't talk to me about that right now. Mm-mm.
No? Mm-mm. Okay.
Absolutely not. Okay. We're not going there.
So yeah.
No, but like this whole thing has been like really interesting because like we all got into it. Most of us got into it. But there were so many people making jokes about it that I felt really uncomfortable with all the jokes that were being made about it.
I did too, yeah.
And yet I was still finding myself laughing at some of them, so I'm definitely going to hell. Because some of them, I just couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. It was
Because they're funny. Like,
it was like a snort.
They're not in good taste.
They're not in good taste. They're in
They're
terrible
not in good taste.
But these were actual people's lives. And rich or not, these were real people's lives. The jokes were interesting, right? Because even though I was laughing at them, I was asking myself why. Like, we're so desensitized to tragedy these days. You know, that's crazy. And not even just this. When school shootings happen, when any sort of tragedy in the USA happens, we move on like that. We kind of move, and I'm not saying we need to be like, you know, crying for these people for like a year, or any, you know, for like the OceanGate people for like a year,
Yeah.
right? But like even with like a school shooting with like Uvalde and stuff like that, like we move on so fast as just a collective, you know. And that's so, it's like, it's wild how desensitized we are to tragedy in this country at this point, you know. There was a boat with over 700 Pakistani, Syrian, Egyptian, and Palestinian refugees that sank right before OceanGate, like days before OceanGate, and also nobody was talking about that, right? Like, I didn't even know that had happened until after the OceanGate thing was already in the news and people were pointing it out that this thing had also happened, you know? This whole week has just been like a whole mind fuck as far as all of this stuff and like what we focus on, what we are desensitized to. It just like, it brought up a lot of questions. Why do you think like the coverage for OceanGate was much more than...
Well, one, I think that the 700 passenger boat with the immigrants, it's honestly a true tragedy.
Yes.
They're not going to get the kind of coverage of like, and honestly, they're not going to get the kind of coverage of very wealthy people. Two, I think that one of the reasons OceanGate got so much coverage is one, Titanic. Whenever you bring Titanic up, people are always going to look at that.
Oh, it's the nostalgia.
Two,
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, two, I think the reason why people felt like they had permission to joke about it so publicly was because people truly believe that the very wealthy are at least a little bit evil, you know? So people felt a lot more comfortable joking about that than talking about a real strategy.
Well,
you know?
I'm thinking a lot of people.
I'm thinking
a lot of people didn't even really know about this boat with all of these refugees. I'm thinking that's something that is just now coming in the news. You know, it in a larger wave, and now people are really like coming to learn more about it. But I mean, it was bound to, OceanGate was bound to have more coverage. My gosh, my contact is like flipping in my eye. It's the ghosts of everybody. No, it was the OceanGate was bound to, this Titanic submarine was bound to have more coverage. Just for the sole facts of it was really sensational because it involved the Titanic, and for some reason we've been obsessed with the Titanic ever since it happened. And nostalgia, again, for the same reasons, right? Like, we've been obsessed with the Titanic since it happened. Nobody obsessed more than James Cameron.
I don't know. I got pretty obsessed as a kid.
It's just like, the whole Titanic factor of it, right? And the people love Aperol, which is like, again, really fucked up, really desensitized. I don't know. It was really strange. I don't really have any answers for this anyway. Like, I'm not trying to like sit here and teach lessons or anything like that. I just have like a bunch of questions. Like,
I mean,
I thought this past week was like crazy.
Submarines.
It was just a wild week, you know.
And depths. I learned a lot about depths.
I did too. I did not know the damn Titanic was
7 minutes.
Like right by New Jersey, like very close to the United States.
Like Newfoundland or something like that?
Right there.
Yes.
I thought that shit was in the ocean.
500 meters off of,
I thought it was over there.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah. I thought it was, I didn't know that they were that close. I didn't know how deep the Titanic was.
I didn't understand that either.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that. Listen, I felt I haven't been in science class in a long time, and now I know about science.
At this point, I would rather go to space than go to the
Oh, hell no. My ass would never have been down there. I don't think so. The size of a minivan? Are you kidding me?
I'm not saying that I would do it.
I'm not
saying
going
that
to space either. My ass, we're not even supposed to be in the ocean, Alastair. Okay? Before this, I've been seeing a lot of shark attack shit. There was a boy who got eaten by a shark.
Did you see the
calling out for his dad?
Killer whales are starting to.
They're sinking yachts.
Yes.
We're not supposed to be in the water. The ocean is rising against us.
Yeah.
The ocean is rising up. They're tired of us. They're going to reclaim all the orcas from like SeaWorld and shit. They're coming.
Yeah.
I
Get
don't
ready
think
for
so.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. Big tragedy all the way around, though. Definitely urge everybody to go and look into this boat full of refugees. I think that's a story that needs to be covered a lot more. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, where are we at? Ooh, I don't even think I don't know how we haven't cut off yet, but we're back.
We might have.
The camera might cut off, okay? So if we have cut off already, I'm sorry, but I still see it going. Yeah, we've come to the end of this episode of Coffee and Tequila, the brunch episode.
Thanks for sitting with us.
Let us know all your thoughts about all of this stuff, too. And are you going to see, what do you think of Just Like That? What do you think of No Hard Feelings about this whole OceanGate thing and the boat full of refugees? Just any thoughts you got.
Let us know.
Yeah, thank you for watching Coffee and Tequila. My name is Zach.
My name is Alastair.
And we will see you next time whenever Alastair decides to show up to work.
And we're signing off. Adios, gentle viewers.